April 1945. The war in Europe is near its violent end. But one last brutal chapter remains, a chapter written in the rubble of Berlin, the heart of the Third Reich. This wasn't just one army marching in. It was a race, a strategic dance, and a city caught in the crossfire of titans. Today, we're diving into the fall of Berlin, the battle that sealed Nazi Germany's fate and set the stage for the Cold War. The Allies are closing in. To the west, American, British, and Canadian forces, having broken through the Siegfried Line, are pushing across the Rhine, sweeping towards central Germany. To the south, Allied armies are surging through Italy and Austria, and from the east, the Red Army, the colossal steamrolling might of the Soviet Union. Fueled by vengeance and the promise of capturing Hitler, Stalin is unleashing everything he has. Historians still debate if there was a formal race. Eisenhower, the supreme Allied commander, prioritized ending the war quickly and minimizing American casualties. He didn't want to get tangled in a bloody urban battle for a city that, according to pre-agreed-upon post-war zones, would fall largely into the Soviet sphere. His focus? Encircling the Ruhr pocket and driving south to prevent a last Nazi stronghold in the Alps. Stalin, however, had different priorities. Capturing Berlin was not just symbolic, it was a strategic prize. It was about prestige, about demonstrating Soviet power, and about securing critical intelligence and personnel for the coming Cold War. He wanted it, and he wanted his forces to be the ones to take it. Stalin didn't just attack Berlin, he encircled it. Marshal Georgy Zhukov's First Belarusian Front, fresh from the brutal Oder-Neisse battle, launched a massive pincer movement from the east. At the same time, Marshal Ivan Konev's First Ukrainian Front, originally aimed further south, was ordered to swing north, completing the encirclement from the south and west. The assault was devastating. Berlin was transformed into a fortress. Every street, every building was fought for. The Soviets unleashed a torrent of artillery fire, and urban warfare, some of the deadliest and most brutal of the entire war, became the norm. The civilian population, trapped and terrified, was caught in the middle. While the Red Army was pulverizing Berlin's core, the Western Allies were tightening the noose. While not directly storming the capital, they were encircling Germany as a whole. And then, on April 25, 1945, near the town of Torgau on the Elbe River, the moment the world was waiting for arrived. Patrols from the U.S. First Army and the Soviet First Ukrainian Front met. They embraced, they celebrated, they took photos that would symbolize the Allied victory. The two fronts had linked up. Nazi Germany was effectively cut in two. This link-up prevented any potential national redoubt and sealed the fate of the remaining Nazi forces. Inside Berlin, the situation was desperate. Hitler, in his underground bunker, continued to command non-existent armies. On April 30, 1945, with Soviet troops just blocks away, he committed suicide. The symbol of Nazi power, the Reichstag building, was captured in a fierce battle. The final defense was crumbling. On May 2nd, the Berlin garrison commander formally surrendered the city to General Zhukov. The battle for Berlin was over. The Third Reich, the empire that was supposed to last 1,000 years, had been utterly destroyed, trapped in a double pincer of its two greatest enemies. Following the final surrender, the Allies enacted a policy of total demilitarization to ensure Germany could never wage war again. The remnants of the Wehrmacht were formally dissolved in 1946, and millions of German soldiers were held in Allied POW camps. While most Western-held prisoners were released by 1948, hundreds of thousands in Soviet custody faced years of forced labor in the Gulag system, with the last survivors not returning home until 1956. As the Cold War began to freeze relations between the former Allies, the total disarmament didn't last long. By the mid-1950s, the country was split, and both the West, FRG, and the East, GDR, established their own separate military forces, the Bundeswehr and the Nationale Volksarmee, effectively turning former comrades into frontline adversaries of the new global standoff.